At the moment, DICE appears to be on the warpath trying to clear up Battlefield 1. Some big changes are being made that will affect how the game pans out over the next 6 to 8 months or so, and that should take us up to the final DLC in early 2018 called Apocalypse. Now recently, I made a video highlighting the brand new weapon balance initiative where DICE is trying to shake things up a little bit and make the gunplay more enjoyable no matter what type of weapon you pick. They recently added aim assist tweaks to the CTE for consoles that will soon make it less severe, and in just the last few days, they've added some ADAD spam fixes onto the PC CTE as well. ADAD spam, for those who don't know what that is the action of hitting the A and D keys on your keyboard to strafe backwards and forwards. In Battlefield 1, doing this quickly results in some extremely erratic and unpredictable movement from soldiers on the battlefield, and it's something that DICE has acknowledged has needed some attention for quite some time now. Now, it's an issue that mainly affects PC players, but DICE is applying the fix to the consoles as well. More on that point later in the video. The ADAD spam issue originates not from the maximum top speed of a player, how fast they can sprint, but from the acceleration of that player. Hitting the A and D keys in quick succession, that results in a player accelerating to their top speed very quickly, and then moving from side to side meant that speed was almost maintained. In gunfights, this means that firing at enemies could be very difficult due to that unnatural movement, and it resulted in ADAD spam becoming almost a more viable tactic than taking cover, especially when fighting against medics or scouts who have limited ability to really deal damage consistently. The semi-auto rifle needs to be aimed at the player constantly to hit them every single time you fire, and of course a bolt action, you get one shot and then have to go through a fairly lengthy rechamber animation. Whereas a fully automatic LMG or an SMG, that can miss a few shots and still land plenty of damage because the next bullet comes so much faster. DICE has now fixed this issue in the CTE by introducing some new values. The acceleration of your soldier has been changed slightly when you're strafing, not when you're running forwards, just when you're strafing from side to side, to make it take longer to reach your top speed, and then the speed at which you decelerate has also been changed, so it now takes a little bit longer for you to stop moving from side to side. The results of this fix can be hard to see unless you've got them side by side, and in this video here, made by Danny on PC, make sure you go and check his channel out, linked in the description, it gives you a good look at the CTE fixed version and the current retail version of Battlefield 1. It gives you a good overall look at what this fix has really achieved, and the movement of players has been decreased from the current retail version of Battlefield 1. The developers have also scaled this fix for 30Hz, 60Hz and 120Hz servers, so depending on how much information is being sent from your client to the server and then back again, the fix should feel the same no matter what server you're on. And that's important because I think there are still some servers on the console version of Battlefield 1 that are running at 30Hz. Now, it's interesting that DICE mentioned 120Hz servers because at the moment, they aren't supported even in the retail version of Battlefield 1, not even on the PC platform where it would be much easier to implement them. Perhaps a sign of things to come. Now, I mentioned that this change is also being applied to the console versions of Battlefield 1, which I must admit, at first baffled me a little bit, because consoles don't use keys to control movement, they use analog sticks, which will have varying levels of input, which already allow for greater control of movement and speed of that movement. A keyboard is either push button down or depress button, it's on or off. The analog stick allows you to push it slightly to the right, or all the way to the right, or slightly to the left, and all the way to the left, so you can already control that speed of movement. I spoke to DICE developer Drunksy, who's working as part of the team who's pioneering a lot of these changes to Battlefield 1 at the moment, and he stated that although this is far less of an issue on the consoles, they wanted to add the fix anyway and let people test it on the CTE. Console players can actually get their movement to feel much closer to the PC version by changing some advanced controller settings within Battlefield 1. if you reduce the right stick dead zone and the input threshold, you're going to notice a marked change in how quickly you can change direction in a server. And I think this is the main reason for adding the fix to consoles, to make sure the PC and the console versions both receive the same treatment and movement is much more uniform. An issue like ADAD spam or movement spam in gunfights for Battlefield 1, that might not seem like a huge issue, but with the Incursions module on the horizon, the arrival of competitive play for Battlefield, that puts more emphasis on changes to be made that allow a competitive environment to flourish. ADAD spam was a crutch that could be exploited. That's now gone. The draft system in Incursions, allowing you to pick specific kits that are predetermined by the developers, that removes the outlying weapons and gadgets that are present in Battlefield 1, it levels the playing field, and the new weapon balance values bring all of the class weapons into line with one another, giving them more pronounced benefits and weaknesses across the board. You can see what DICE are doing here. They're trying to iron out all of the creases that are still present in Battlefield 1. Now, don't get me wrong, DICE is not 100% focused on competitive for the franchise, far from it. It is just a very small team working on Incursions right now, but changes that are suited to competitive raise the bar for casual play in the main game too, and considering how much flack Battlefield 1 got since the launch of the game for probably being the most casual Battlefield game that's ever been released, these kind of changes are setting the game now in the right direction. And something else as well, speaking of making Battlefield 1 better, it's worth remembering this. These kind of changes to Battlefield 1 will benefit the tail end of development over the next 6 to 8 months or so, but they will also benefit the next game in the franchise, Battlefield 2018. I'm of the opinion that DICE added Incursions to Battlefield 1, firstly, to let players know that competitive is a thing for the franchise, and to use the current game as a testbed for a wider offering in Battlefield 2018. If that game were to launch with competitive support out of the box, with both the competitive side and the casual side of the game being level pegging with one another, settings parity, etc., the game would stand a real chance of pushing forward into the competitive scene. The casual side of Battlefield gives the game a platform to introduce competitive because it's already so popular. And the competitive side allows the developers to raise the bar of the game overall and make sure it's fun, entertaining, and challenging all at the same time. So people saying competitive is not really a thing for Battlefield, wait until Incursions comes out, try it, and see what it actually feels like, especially with these new changes. There were a few other things added into some of the recent CTE patches that I haven't really mentioned on the channel all that much at the moment, and I thought I'd cover this in a video, but I don't think I actually mentioned it. There's been a change to the Conquest game mode that now only allows the team with the majority of flags held to earn points, which reflects the older rule set of previous Battlefield games. This creates sort of a pivot point within the mode, and it allows for epic comebacks, and that's a good change in my eyes because even though Conquest is by far the most popular mode in Battlefield 1, it doesn't really have the same epic comebacks at the moment as previous games used to. And lastly, DICE have added something onto the spawn screen. If you select friendly soldiers or vehicles on the spawn screen now that you want to spawn onto, it now shows their current health as a circular bar around that icon, which is more visibility for the person spawning, but we still haven't seen any fix for the spawning on dead teammates issue. Hopefully, that's one for the future. So there you go, all up to date with Battlefield 1 again, some big changes on the horizon coming in the future for sure, and make sure you stay tuned later this week for a video about the new weapon balance and how it's a good thing overall, and my sources tell me that that weapon balance is going to change a little bit more in the future. The CTE is obviously a testing ground, and DICE are going to make even more changes to it. Some people seem confused by the new weapon balance system, so this video coming up, that should sort it out for you. Leave some comments down below, let me know what you think. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.